Okay, so that's... Is that right? No. There. That's good. So, here we go. Where are we going, buddy? Yeah? Where are we going? Where are we going? We're going on an adventure! We're going on an adventure! You excited, buddy? You excited? Yeah? Yeah. So to understand what this video and this whole channel is going to be about, we have to go back a little bit to 2015. And this was just before I went to university, and you're getting asked all the questions you normally get asked when you're that old, like, so what do you want to do? What do you want to go study? And I'm just sort of, I'm thinking around and I go, well, I'm good at science, and being a doctor's, you know, it's a pretty good job. It's a respected job, you know, it's safe, it's secure. And that's what I decided I want to do. So I do the whole thing. I apply for places and I get interviews. I get an offer from Queen Mary in London. And so in 2016, that's where I go off to study. For the first 2 years, everything's pretty good. You know, I'm going along well. I meet new people, making new friends, all that stuff. I'm doing pretty well, exam-wise and assessment-wise. But it's just sort of towards the end of the second year that I notice things aren't quite right with my health. Right, well, we've come down to the beach today because I thought we've been having such good weather and it would be so pretty. And you know what? I wasn't disappointed. Would you just look at that? Look at it. Absolutely bloody gorgeous. Wonderful. So I have Crohn's. I've known that for a long time, and in would have been 2018, I think. Yeah, 2018. I was on a drug called infliximab, and I'd been on this drug for a long time. It worked very well for me and in controlling my Crohn's and suppressing the symptoms. But I was noticing at the end of that second year of university that some of my symptoms were starting to come back. I was starting to get some pain and noticing some blood in my stool, and I was going more often than I used to. So I went to the doctor, chatted with her, and she said that you're starting to lose response to this drug, but that's okay. We can try you on a different one and see how you go on that. So I go, great, cool. So I go through the summer at the end of my second year. I'm trying out a new drug to control my Crohn's called, I think it was rituximab, and I'm all right on that for a while, and things are going well. Here is the Rocky having an absolutely wonderful time. And where's your ball gone? Where have you put it? Where have you put it? You little shit. Where is it? All the way back here. You don't even want it. Oh yeah, now you want it. Now you want it. Now you want it. Going well. So I start my third year of med school. I start my placements, which was really exciting. And everything's, yeah, it gets a little better. It was just after Christmas things start to get really bad, and I crash out basically. So I go back to the doctor, and she tells me, so you're not responding to this new drug either, and this is a thing that can happen with these kinds of drugs. But I think we've gotten to the point now where your first drug stopped working, your second one's not working either. You're gonna need to have surgery. And again, surgery, I sort of knew this was gonna happen at some point in my life. I've actually had surgery before. You can see there. So the surgery I had before was to get rid of this part of my bowel called the ileum, and it's like the end of your small intestine, the start of your large intestine. I've had that out before. I had that out when I was about 12. So, okay, she says, so what you have is you have two options. You can either, cut your bowel at the end of your small intestine, and you'll have a stoma, which is, one of the bags that goes on your stomachs. And then we'll remove the part of your bowel that is inflamed, your large bowel. Everything from here, up to here, across here, down here. You can have all that removed. Option 2 is we make the cut the same place, but what we'll do is we'll leave the inflamed bowel in there. Now what this is called is deactivation. Basically the theory goes that by disconnecting the bowel and making a stoma, the bowel that's inflamed, which is my large intestine, is effectively rested because there's nothing going through it. And by resting it, you give it an opportunity to heal. It's January of that year, 2019, that I need to have this operation done. So I say, we'll go with the second option. We'll go with the deactivation one, leave what's in there is in there. And that's what happened. So now I have the stoma, and it's all, the bowel's disconnected, it's deactivated, and it's a long period of recovery from this. It takes a while to adjust. So I decided I had to take that year out of med school to just focus on getting settled, really. But it's also during this time that I really get to sit down and reflect and think about what I really love doing. As we admire the crashing waves, we can see in the distance, maybe, the ghost ships. But don't worry, they're not actually ghost ships. They're just they're like cruise ships. They've been parked here because of COVID, because no one's going on cruises, obviously. And as much as I respect medicine and the people who do it and the doctors that have always taken care of me, I realised that it isn't really what I love. It's not my passion. It's not the thing I want to do every day of my life. And during this time to rest and reflect, I realised what I really do love is film and telly, and everything to do with how it's made and the behind the scenes and special effects and all that stuff. I love it, and that's what I want to do. Now I have a tricky choice. I've done 2 good years of work at uni. It's another 3 years if I want to graduate in medicine. I'm conflicted because I've done quite a lot of hard work already, but on the other hand, what's the point of doing 3 more years of a degree I don't really want to do? What I am able to do is something called an intercalated degree. So when you do medicine, you can basically take a year out after your second year, and you can do a year in another subject. And then what that means is that once you finish that year in that other subject, you get a degree, you get a full degree. And so that's what I decided to do. I decided I would, my year back, which would have been September 2019, my year back, I was going to do experimental pathology. I'd get a degree in that. That way I'm not throwing away all the work I've done, but I only have to do 1 more year and I'll have a degree. And then after that I can go and try and get work in TV production, whatever that may be, starting as a runner, just starting at the bottom and working my way up, gaining experience, do it that way. And that was very much the plan, until...
Just hours after the first Briton with coronavirus left this hospital, another patient checked in.
We need people to start working from home where they possibly can. And you should avoid pubs, clubs, theatres and other such social venues. I urge you, at this moment of national emergency, to stay at home, protect our NHS and save lives.
So apart from COVID-19 obviously ruining everything for everyone, I actually had another problem, and that was because I'd had this deactivation and had this part of my bowel left in, there was a risk, and I knew this at the time when I decided to go with that option, that it might not work, that the bowel might still be inflamed. And it was in mid-February 2020 that I began to realise that was what was happening. Again, I was tired, I had stomach aches, I was noticing blood coming out of my rectum, which shouldn't make sense because nothing's going through it, but that's what was happening. Coming up to a groin now. I'm going to take this like bloody action man. Nailed it. And so go back to the doctor. I have an MRI. She tells me that this is what's going on, that bit of bowel is still inflamed. So really what's going to happen is you need another surgery and we just need to get the bowel out. That's there. So again, it's not a great result. It's definitely not the result I wanted, but I always knew it was a possibility. So I just say, okay, let's do it. Let's get it done. So when I have this next operation to get that last bit of bowel out, it's trickier this time because I've had surgeries there before. You get these things called adhesions, which is basically like scar tissue on your organs, and it makes it very difficult for the surgeon to get where he needs to get to. As a result of that, I lost quite a lot of blood during that surgery, and I actually had to be put onto a ventilator for a couple of days and kept in intensive care. It was a really rough time. Even after I got out of intensive care, it was hard because I had what's called colic. It's when your intestine basically stops moving, and this can happen after you've had surgery on your bowel, just because your bowel doesn't like to be messed with. But that meant I wasn't putting anything out of my stoma into my bag like I normally was. And so that kept me in hospital for longer. I couldn't leave hospital until I started to put stuff out again. But eventually we did get there. And so I got out of hospital sort of mid to late March, I got out. But then everything else happened. And so my plan to get out of uni and then get work in this area is sort of really shot to shit. Though I'm able to keep doing my degree and finish it, there's just no work going on in production at the moment. Or, well, there is, but very little. Even then, I'm not too disheartened. I just sort of go, well, okay, there's not a lot of production work going on, but I've got some work experience. I've got my good degree now, and I'll just find something else to do in the meantime. But then, because of everything that's gone on, obviously the economy has gone down the toilet, and there's not a lot of jobs going on at the minute. And so I'm really sort of left stuck at the minute. I'm like, well, I can't really get a job in just sort of anything, let alone what I want to do. So what am I actually gonna do with my time until this is all over, until the economy picks up again, so that I'm not just wasting my time and I can actually work towards getting started in the industry that I want to work in. Right, well, we've come as far as we can along the beach now with dogs. See, no dogs beyond this point. Oh, you nearly got me, see. Not today. So where I normally walk the dog is a woods about 5 minutes away from my house. But there's a reason I wanted to come here today, apart from it being such a lovely day, is, see it, it's just way off in the distance, over there. You can see Bournemouth Pier. And the reason I wanted to get a shot of Bournemouth Pier today is because in just under a week's time, I will be starting my Masters in Producing Film and Television at Bournemouth Uni. So, welcome to the next step. What